Larry Bird was just a white hick with a bowl cut who drank Miller Lights, chewed tobacco, fought bartenders, ate McChickens, had the back of my grandpa, and couldn't jump over a piece of paper. But he also had balls the size of King Kong, would insult his opposition for putting a white player on him, would tell you how he was going to score and then do it, create challenges for himself because the game was too easy, finished with 3 MVPs, 3 NBA championships, and etch his name as one of the best to ever do it, all due to his psychopathic drive to solve the game of basketball. Larry Bird might be a funny-looking dude from the 80s with a porn star mustache, a mullet, and a drinking problem, but he was also the baddest man to ever touch a ball. In a league that featured some of undoubtedly the greatest and most physically gifted athletes the game has ever seen, Larry Bird was a brilliant two-way point forward who may have just been the best scorer in the world.
Now we come to the subject of, this is bird country. Oh, this is bird watching country, but this is a rare bird. There's a meteor called Halley's Comet that appears once every 76 years. And that's what they call him down here, Halley's Comet. He has unbelievable ability, and welcome to Larry's world.
Number 33, the center, a 6'9.5" senior from Fort Indiana, Larry Bird.
It didn't take a lightning-quick first step or biceps the size of your head to do it. Just a guy who can use every bit of his 6'9" frame through finding his spots, creating space, and taking what the defense gave him. Turn this garbage man on a nobody team to one of the best shows in college basketball.
I went in there and they had like a 13-13 season. All of a sudden, you go from having 2,000 and 3,000 people at your games to people can get tickets.
Larry Bird was on the cover of every magazine, and the Sycamores were catching nationally televised games that they had never received leadership. This colossal matchup had quickly grabbed the attention of the whole world, and they got their money's worth.
Good shooter, a sophomore, and here's the great player Bird. Reed open. Indiana State takes it. Magic Johnson with the ball. And he is fouled. Look at Urban Magic. Magic Johnson from 15, and he loves to hit that big players are not hitting that perimeter shot. Oh,
Great play by Bird.
and he saves it.
That was an alley-oop pass almost, trying to get it into Kelson.
Standing ovation. Magic Johnson, a 4-point play, and Michigan State has an 11-point lead. Bird hits the
Though he came up short, this one was a battle of the century.
free look. Oh, there's a pass. Look at Johnson. Go out. It's all over. Michigan State University, national champions, 1979.
Plenty of people were disheartened to see Bird lose, but plenty of people were also equally glad to see Magic win. The division of this rivalry put asses in seats at the college level, and with the picture-perfect story with Magic Johnson being drafted first overall to the Los Angeles Lakers, this revived the biggest rivalry in sports at a time where the NBA brutally was in need of it. The aftermath of the infamous Wilt and Bill Russell rivalry resulted in a decade of declining attendance and TV ratings. The NBA was desperate for face of the league to arise, and they were lucky enough to land 2 of them at the same time. Entering the NBA, Larry Bird instantly was one of the best players that the league had to offer. Despite some of his teammates refusing to allow some white kid to come in and steal attention away from them, that white kid led the 29-53 Celtics to the biggest single-season turnaround in NBA history.
I'm thinking, oh, he's slow, he can't get off a shot. He's not that strong. This is gonna be a layup. Bam, knocks down a jump shot. Okay, maybe that was luck. Gets the ball again. Bam, knocks down another jump shot. Now I'm thinking like, okay, hey, you know what? I'm finna D this guy up. I'm gonna show him his life. 20 feet away. Bam. 25 feet away. Bam. My mind just goes to the, damn, this white guy can play.
Bird was not only the best rookie in the NBA, taking home Rookie of the Year award over Magic Johnson, but Bird finished in the top 4 of MVP voting in his first season in the NBA. Playing with the three-point line for the first time in his career, Bird would average 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 4.5 dimes a game while dragging the Celtics to the Eastern Conference Finals as a rookie. On top of being instantly the best shooter in the NBA, he was constantly seeing plays happen a couple steps before the crowd. After their worst season in 30 years, Larry Bird was the only piece they needed to complete the rebuild. rebuild. The 1980s were looking like a straight shot to the top of the NBA for the Boston Celtics, and compounding with the offseason trade for Robert Parrish and the drafting of Kevin McHale, the NBA had just found its newest dynasty. But there was another team on the other side of the country who was looking at an even brighter future. To the disdain of Boston fans, the Lakers would finish the 1980 season with their 7th championship banner in NBA history. And to the disdain of Larry Bird, the rookie sensation Magic Johnson would be crowned the series MVP as he watched from the couch. And after sweeping the Chicago Bulls, the 76ers looked like they were ready to put these inexperienced kids to bed. Led by Julius Erving and Darryl Dawkins, the Sixers looked like they completely outclassed the Celtics, jumping out to a 3-1 lead in the series. But in what quickly turned into an all-out movie, Larry Bird turned this into a slugfest. With 32-11-5, Bird put the team on his back to drag them across the finish line in a 2-point game to finally get some momentum back on their side. In the most evident example of 80s basketball you'll ever see, these teams competed to the end with physicality that would put a modern ref into cardiac arrest. In a 2-point game in Game 6 and a 1-point nail-biter in Game 7, the Boston Celtics were officially back. In one of the craziest sports towns in the world, this unsuspecting white kid who had to leave college flashy, but standing at 6'9" as a senior, he was everything else. At 30 points and a crazy 20 rebounds a game, he not only would dominate you physically, but could shoot the ball, find his teammates, track down boards to a crazy extent, and had an all-around crazy mind for the game. But to be a genius in one area, you likely have to sacrifice in another. Simply put, Larry Bird was a bit weird. A quiet kid with a bowl cut doesn't exactly scream star recruit in the state of Indiana to play under legendary coach Bobby Knight. But after 24 days at Indiana State University, Larry Bird felt out of place and returned home, giving up on his basketball endeavors at the top of the world to become a garbage man with the city's sanitation department back in front. As a Korean War veteran, Joseph Bird had his own issues he was battling. Living with the experience of a bloodbath as well as frequent unemployment issues with the limited labor force in French Lick, his method to cope with his struggle always involved booze. As his drinking problem forced his wife out of the marriage, the issues would only be amplified. As financial and substance issues would stockpile, a call to his then ex-wife regarding his late child support payments would end with him saying, "Maybe you'd be better off without me." He would be found dead later that day with a handgun, causing a ripple effect that Larry never recovered from. Everyone's reaction to tragedies like this are going to differ from individual to individual, and in Larry's case, he was pissed. And what he looked at as quitting on him and his family, Larry really had nothing. He was broke. He quit his basketball dream, and despite working his ass off for everything he had and everything he's achieved, he lacked the opportunity to turn it into something more than mediocre. This really could have been the last we heard of Larry Bird. Trash to live a few years ago was the new face of NBA basketball. Landing in the NBA Finals in just his second year in the NBA, the struggles to pack seats for the past few years were certainly not seen in the Garden. In a 6-game series that really shouldn't have gone that far, the Celtics made you forget that just 2 years ago, this Houston Rockets team had the MVP and Boston was the worst team in basketball. Larry Bird took control of the NBA, leading a dead-end franchise to an NBA championship in just his second year in the NBA.
For the basket again, not being boxed off the boards, made an incredible recovery and shot it in with his left hand. Just a great shot.
You won't see a much better move than that. And a world champion of Boston Celtics.
If Victor Wembanyama takes home a chip next year, the world is going to lose their minds. And that was awarded with his second Finals MVP in his first 3 seasons in the NBA. And what seems straight out of a Disney movie as the league was at its lowest, 2 Midwest college players duke it out in the biggest college game in history, split to 2 major big market rival teams in need of young talents, and come in to win the first 3 finals they play. If this happened today, I think it would light the world on fire. And when it happened then, it was enough to catapult the NBA to all-time heights. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird might have just came in and saved basketball. Things may have looked up in the moment. Sure, Magic may have won a couple rings, but Bird was sharing that poster boy spot with him, was richer than his wildest dreams, and could sit back and enjoy the fruits of his labor. And that's kind of what he did. With his worst year yet in the league at 56-26, Larry was riding the buzz of being that guy a little too hard. Sliding into the second round with a pretty cakewalk matchup against Sidney Moncrief and the Milwaukee Bucks, the Celtics fell asleep and never woke up. In an embarrassing 4-0 sweep, the golden boy of the NBA was faced with his first real challenge. Despite reaching gold in just his second NBA season, Larry had ran into the playoffs as the favorite in the league and didn't even make it out of the Eastern Conference. In the finals, yes, it was a fun game before matching up with an old friend. The new and improved Houston Rockets may have been the best set team to take down this powerhouse of a Celtics squad, as probably the only team with a better front court with the twin tower duo of Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson. Their only problem was that they had no answer for Larry Bird, if that was possible. Winning the series in 6 games, the only thing on Bird's mind was how the hell they even let him win a pair. With 3 NBA championships, the Celtics were officially a dynasty, with more cinemas to show for it in the 1987 season, averaging 30, 10, and 8 against one of the best perimeter defenders ever in a 7-game series, and another 27, 10, and 7 to follow in one of the most memorable matches of the decade against the dirtiest team the game's ever seen. Bird had it out for the bad boy Pistons, but damn, they never made it easy. In a series that proved to be as physical as any, on the backs of crucial mistakes by the Pistons late game, like the game-winning steal and dish down 1 that's cemented in every highlight reel, and letting Bird get on a roll in Game 7 with 37, 9-9 on 54, 50, and 100% shooting splits. The Celtics had punched their ticket to the 4th straight NBA and their 5th of Larry Bird's legendary career. But duking it out in back-to-back Game 7s costed this team some legs. With an injured supporting cast and the toughest matchup in basketball with another Celtics Lakers series, Boston was out of this one before it even started. At this point, it was clear to see that the squad that the world was fascinated over was on the back 9 of their run of dominance in the NBA. But despite Bird celebrating his 31st, he was still reaching highs he had never seen before. At 39-6 in the 50-40-90 club, Larry was really paving the way for volume shooters to an extent that had never been seen. But really, more than that, he was changing the face of the sport. A couple of poor Midwest kids seen on every advertisement showed that even for everyday people, the best of the best might still have room for you, if you want it bad enough. And that's what Bird did. Bird may not have been the most talented in the league, but did the work prior to ensure excellence. No time more evident than the 1988 3-point contest. Looking for his 3rd win in the 3rd year of holding the event, Larry walked into the locker room, asked who was going to come into 2nd place, before going out and winning his 3rd straight trophy without even taking his jacket off. Yeah, just winning isn't enough for some people. Bird and the Celtics would set off into the playoffs, looking to make another deep playoff run. But this time, after another 7-game series, the stress, physicality, and pain that comes with competing against the bad boys Pistons was just too much for them. Larry Bird was a lot of things during this run. He was the best shooter in the league. For a while, he was the best player in the league. He trash talked better than anyone in the league, and he backed it up better than anyone in the league. And mostly, he worked harder than anyone in the league. Game or practice, Bird put his body on the line 100% of the time if it meant it was going to put his team in a better position to win, despite if the game meant anything or not. After 2 years of losing, the Celtics finally looked ready to turn this one-ring team into the dynasty that they were bound to be. The only problem was Magic Johnson, coming out of the Western Conference, had the same damn intentions. In their 5th season in the NBA, every year it featured one of the 2 in the NBA Finals. But 1984 would be the first time that 2 players who made the 1980s theirs would match up together in a must-see Finals matchup. And must-see it sure was. The revival of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry was back, and this time it was better than ever.
To Kareem, to Worthy, to Ramble. He should go the distance. Oh, look out!
And both benches have emptied, and you knew this was going to happen. You could see it coming.
Bird and Kareem fighting for the rebound. And Kareem hit him with an elbow, and he's upset. Now Bird over there saying, "Why did you hit me?" And Kareem saying, "Listen, pal."
An all-out slugfest of physicality resulted in one all-time classic series. As back and forth as it gets, this series had it all. Late-game heroics from Bird with some massive scoring explosions, including a huge overtime win, and Magic Johnson showing why he was already the best playmaker to ever touch a basketball. Trading wins back and forth, this thing got ugly. Physicality up the wahoo, and even the hurdle of playing the Boston Garden with no air conditioning games 5 and 7. If you're a fan of 80s basketball antics, you've rewatched this series more times than any. At 27 points and 14 rebounds, Larry did everything he could do to win this series. When you're looking at a Game 7 in a 100-degree hotbox against Magic, Kareem, and Worthy, I don't think it's possible to feel comfortable about your situation no matter what, especially after a 4-quarter hounding in the Staples Center the night prior. When Game 7 came, it really could go either way. In a game that had the potential to shift the weight of the NBA on its side, it didn't matter how hot the Garden got. That thing was packed to the gills, and then they let a few more guys in. Despite a poor shooting night from Bird, the heroic heroics of Cedric Maxwell and the contributions in every other aspect of Larry kept the Celtics on top late game. And with a mob of fans inching on the court, late game free throws from Bird put the nails in the coffin on the Celtics' 15th NBA championship in history. Boy, this one had to feel good. Not only is Bird a two-time champion and MVP at 27, already putting himself among the best to ever do it, but tying Magic at 2 apiece while denying him his third had to feed that competitive need more than anything other. As the fans stormed the court to celebrate number 15 and Bird was clearly the #1 guy in Boston, Larry was undoubtedly the biggest star that basketball had seen up to this point. As more eyes watch you and the lights get brighter, you either sink or you swim. Or if you're Larry Bird, you just walk on water, because as you couldn't get any higher, Larry Bird came into the next season as an even bigger star. He may have been cracking a few millers in between seasons, but this dude didn't forget his 1,000 makes a day. Larry came out upping his average to near 29 points a game on an even better efficiency with a near 50-40-90 season, with no fall in his passing or rebounding numbers either. Larry, ever since coming into the NBA, had seen his 3-point stroke consistency free fall ever since being the best shooter in the league as a rookie. And after dialing in his game from 5 years of experience and upping his 3-point percentage to 42% in 1985, I don't know how you guard him, and neither did anyone else, as he would take home his second consecutive MVP trophy in one of the best regular seasons to date. Bird was at his absolute best all season long. As the face of basketball, shit probably got kind of boring, dominating 82 games a year before you get back to meaningful games. He had to complete some side quests. After running a 5-mile charity race and blacking out on Miller Lights the night before, the Birdman might as well set the Celtics' all-time scoring record in Atlanta, dropping a 60-piece on a bunch of hopeless grown men. Bird was that guy, and he'd let you know it, keeping it interesting by telling the Mavericks bench where he'd catch the ball and shoot it before they could grab it out of the net, and then keeping his promise and giving them a wink. Bird was the best trash talker in the NBA. Even when matching up against a young Michael Jordan, he had to remind the Bulls that this shit was still Bird country. After a young horse Grant tried trash talking Larry, he let him know to a T he was going to fake left and go up with the right hook. I probably don't even need to let you know what happened next. An extra pretty humble occasion, Reggie Miller would make the same mistake shit-talking Bird right before he stepped up to the line. Bird stopped and stared at the kid in the eye and told him, "You gotta be kidding me." Knocked down one, looked at him again and said, "Rook, I'm the best shooter in the league right now. Understand?" And then knocked down the second. He even left off the best player in the league part of that too. Storming into the playoffs with the new shiny MVP trophy at home, the second award clearly didn't mean too much to him.
The MVP didn't really, after you win one, to me it really don't mean that much to win another one. The thing that you try to go for is the championships, because once you win an MVP award, it's yourself, you're by yourself. Once you win an NBA championship, the whole city's involved. All your Celtic fans around the country and the whole city. It just...
The Eastern Conference at this point was too easy for Bird and the Celtics. At 26-10-7, Bird was still the best in the league and at just a few buckets away from 50-40-90 with a new 3-point contest trophy in its first ever go-around. He was the best sharpshooter the league had seen up to this point. After dominating the NBA, winning MVP 3 years in a row and three-peating for second place the 3 years before that, Larry got back to fucking around the entire season. A matchup against the Portland Trailblazers resulted in one of the most infamous FU games in history. After telling the Blazers that he was saving his right hand for the Lakers, Bird went out and torched Portland for 47 in Portland with his left hand while burying the game-winning shots. Bird was the baddest man in the league, and he was running a powerhouse straight to the top. And what was clearly the best team in the league and the best team of the Bird era, the Celtics curb stomped the Eastern Conference. Sweeping the Bulls, nearly sweeping the Hawks, and sweeping the Bucks, Celtics stormed in the finals